Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here and welcome to Jambareeqi Orange, the show where I let my patrons decide what I review. The options for this episode's poll included Klaus, West Side Story, All Dogs Christmas Carol, Casper's Haunted Christmas, The Matrix, and Ernest Saves Christmas. They chose Klaus. Jesper is a cadet at a postal academy, but he doesn't take his training seriously at all. So, his dad, who runs the academy, forces Jesper to move to the island of Smeerensburg, where he must prove himself by setting up a successful post office. He won't be able to leave the island until he reaches a specific goal. The problem is that Smeerensburg is a hellhole inhabited by the two warring family clans of Ellingbo and Crumb, so setting up a post office here seems like a lost cause. Even the local teacher, Alva, has given up teaching, resorted to fishmongering in her abandoned class, and plans to save up to leave Smeerensburg. The local ferryman Mogans informs Jesper of a woodsman called Klaus, who might be able to give Jesper some postal work to do. Klaus turns out to be a former toy maker who lost his wife, and agrees to work with Jesper to deliver toys to the sad kids of Smeerensburg. When local children learn of the legend of Klaus, they ask Jesper to send their letters to the woodsman, and Jesper charges them a penny for every letter. Some kids can't write though, so Jesper insists that Alva starts teaching again, to increase potential profit for his post office. The urban myth of Klaus inspires peace between the Ellingbos and the Crumbs, bringing a new light to this once dreary place. Unfortunately, the leaders of the two family clans get wind of a toy maker affecting the balance of things, and decide to foil everything by exposing Jesper's hidden agenda of raising money for personal gain. This film reminded me a lot of the Rankin Bass special Santa Claus is Coming to Town, a film that I discussed in last month's Film Chums podcast on Christmas musicals.
I didn't think the script writing on Santa Claus is Coming to Town was very strong at all.
But I think that's mainly down to it being a 50-minute special, really.
Yeah,
if they were given, I think if it was like an hour and a half film, I feel like it could at least be a good film. Klaus has the same sort of premise as Santa Claus is Coming to Town, but it has more time and resources to tell the story much better. Every aspect of the Santa legend is explored at a natural pace. This is all thanks to the fact that the mythology is being created by the children's imagination. Even though Klaus has no real magic powers, Smeerensburg kids build their own fantasy lore around him in enthusiastic excitement, while Jesper helps to expand on their ideas to strengthen the Claus mythos.
He sees everything, you know. Every mischief, prank, and dirty deed. He keeps a list. The naughty list, he calls it.
You lie!
Trust me, you do not want to be on the naughty list.
If I watched this movie as a kid, I would have completely bought that this was the genuine origin story for Santa Claus, because the film does such a great job of letting all the pieces of the Santa puzzle fall into place in a somewhat grounded reality.
A flying sleigh pulled by magical reindeer?
Yep. Oh look, it can laugh. Mystery solved.
Jesper's arc is more than a simple riches to rags tale. It's the story of a pampered and privileged man who learns the values of deeper things and lives outside of his own. Jesper first sees this bleak island's townspeople as easy money, but the more he gets to know those he's scheming, the more he comes to realize that making others happy comes with its own joys and pleasures. The friendship between Jesper and Klaus plays a huge part in this growth. They both give each other gifts and experiences that can't be simply bought. Jesper's eagerness to work towards a goal motivates the grieving Klaus to come out of his shell and become the Santa we all know, while Klaus's love for giving toys to kids makes Jesper see the beauty of other people's happiness.
Then, when she got on the sled, I thought, oh no, we made it too small. But no, it was just right for her size. And she loved it, right? I think she did. Do you think she loved it?
I do.
Their friendship is the foundation for the Santa mythos, because together they can be the strong building blocks of a holiday icon. Of course, the townspeople do eventually find out that Jesper was using them, which all leads to a liar's reveal cliche. It's the one part of the film that falls into being predictable, because we get your typical stock dialogue that comes with this trope.
Please, I can explain.
Oh, it's very clear. You just duped everyone so you could get back to your puffed up life back in the big town.
Followed by the usual moping sequence. However, the film is merciful and doesn't let the lies reveal last too long. It also didn't really bother me that much because everything else in the film is so well told and charming.
She loved birds, so I just kept making birdhouses. But then you showed up, delivering these toys, seeing the joy they bring to children. I thought I'd never feel this again. And I have you to thank for it, my friend. So, thank you.
Klaus is also an exploration into the culture of traditions. The rivalry between the Crumb and the Ellingbow clans has been going on for centuries, but there's no clear and valid reason why it's still being carried on today. It's a poisonous cycle of conflict that shows how traditions aren't always inherently a good thing. Sometimes they're just dumb, pointless, and do more bad than good. The Crumb and Ellingbow leaders are so mindlessly attached to this tradition of family rivalry that they have no idea what to do when it's challenged, and they ironically join forces to protect a status quo that forces them to fight. Meanwhile, Klaus and Jesper are creating a festive tradition that has purpose, merit, and value. A holiday mythology that gives kids joy, inspires good in people, and motivates togetherness. A Smearensburg that follows a tradition of hate is grey, boring, violent, and full of fear, while a Smearensburg that follows the tradition of Klaus is warm, magical, and peaceful. It goes without saying which tradition is actually necessary and which needs to go. The kids of Smearensburg are happy to play with each other because they don't see a feud. They just see other children to have fun with, which just goes to prove that adults are often to blame for passing on bigotry. Luckily, Alva plays a major role in unifying the next generations of these divided communities. Alva's decision to come back out of retirement not only helps to officially end the segregation of children, but also rekindles her love for teaching all over again. It's amazing seeing Alva going from being this salty and hostile woman to becoming the best teacher that these kids could ever ask for. But the main message of the movie is the mantra of a true act of goodwill will always spark another. A beautiful sentiment about how genuine kindness to others is the key to building camaraderie and community in this world. A big part of Christmas is remembering that giving is just as important as receiving, hence why Klaus's motto fits into the Santa legend. Compassion can be incredibly contagious because it can make you want to return the favor or spread the same love to others. Sure, there will always be selfish people in this world, but that shouldn't stop us from sparking goodwill amongst humanity in our own ways. I also really like how this movie gets more and more Christmassy as it goes along. We spend a lot of this film in a gloomy town with a bleak colour palette, so once the movie starts looking more like a beautiful winter wonderland, we really appreciate the change, because the movie has been so grim up until this point. Now, I mentioned earlier on how Santa doesn't have magic. This is true, but the film does kind of imply that supernatural presences exist. You see, Klaus's wife sometimes appears in the wind to communicate something to him. At the same time though, you could just read these occurrences as coincidental weather, nature just being nature. Oh, and when Klaus dies in the end, he's passing his cup from our vision. Then, in the movie's epilogue, Jesper says that he gets to see his friend every December the 25th, but we never see a ghost. I guess that's what makes the film's fantasy element so profound. It's up to the audience to make their own interpretation. I respect this film so much for not being 100% direct about this aspect, because sometimes, if done right, this kind of vagueness adds some fun, enigmatic mystery for the audience to ponder over. Now, you might notice how this film has a very unique visual style. It looks three-dimensional, but it's actually digitally hand-drawn. You see, softwares were used to add depth, light, and texture to the 2D characters. CGI was only used to create props, vehicles, or reindeer duplicates. This not only makes the film stand out, but also shows how hand-drawn animation can still keep up with the times, and computer technology can be an aid instead of a replacement. In a time when hand-drawn animated films are hard to find in the mainstream, Klaus really went above and beyond to keep this medium alive in the 21st century. To conclude, Klaus is a funny, moving, and endearing animated gem that's already become a Christmas classic to many audiences. I'm very glad that my patrons chose it because I've needed an excuse to watch it for a very long time. So what am I going to be reviewing in the next episode of Jambareeqi Orange? Well, that's entirely up to my patrons. The options for the next episode include Pokemon Heroes, The Swan Princess 3, Hotel Transylvania 4, The Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild, Venom Let There Be Carnage, and Ghostbusters Afterlife. That's a pretty awesome selection, am I right? Now, don't forget that you have to be a patron in order to access this poll. What is a patron? Don't worry, I'll explain. This is my Patreon. It's a site for my fans to support me financially on through a monthly basis. Those who donate are called patrons. Patrons can donate as much as they want and are welcome to stop donating anytime. In return for their generosity, patrons are given exciting rewards based on their pledge amount. These rewards include early access to my videos before they go up publicly on YouTube, behind the scenes content, their name in the end credits of my videos, a chance to request a review of anything at all, and much more. I'm very excited to find out what my patrons want me to review next on the show. Cheerio, folks.